Welcome back to Cap. I'm Corbin,
And I'm Cody.
and today we're going to tell you why Sentimental Value should win Best Picture in 15 minutes or less. It's the eighth part in a 10-part series where each episode we break down what's great about all 10 Best Picture nominees at the 98th Academy Awards. Today we're talking only about what we love, the movie itself, no outside drama, no negatives. Of course, along with Best Picture, it was nominated for Director, Actress, Supporting Actor, and Supporting Actress, Screenplay, Director, International Film, and Editing. A lot of nominations for this one, and especially in categories like Director and Editing, would really indicate that this movie is very strongly supported. I think this is the first one outside of maybe The Secret Agent, which that even is a period piece of the 10 that we've talked about, that is a purely just classical character drama. There's great production design, there's good camera work and editing, but it's not necessarily the technical aspects that launch this. It's the incredible story, it's the amazing acting, and it's kind of the commentary it has about the greater filmmaking community and the landscape of getting art house and international films made in the year 2026. So this one, I feel like, stands out against the other 10 as kind of a different sort of movie.
Absolutely, I agree. I think that's one of the things that makes it great is just its overall uniqueness. Like you said, I feel like compared to a lot of the other movies this year too, like this is a very, character-driven story and also just like an actor and actress, driven story.
And I'm not saying we don't have that in like Sinners or
Yeah,
in One Battle, but like those have more genre elements and more big action set pieces. Like this is people in rooms talking.
yeah, this is very meta for filmmaking, which I really do like. And maybe that's why it bodes well with the Academy. I mean, it's pretty crazy as well that basically every, person in this movie, acting wise, is pretty much nominated.
The three leads
Um,
essentially all get, I mean, I think you could argue all three of
yeah,
them are the leads of this film.
well, and Elle Fanning as well. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's really impressive. I think, obviously, I think the lead performance itself from Renat is just outstanding. Just her kind of emotional intelligence, and also too, just I mean, pairing her up with Stellan, which the Academy classifies it as a supporting role. I mean, he's definitely a main focus of the movie. I feel like the movie does a really great job of showing where he comes from and how that affected, obviously, his relationship with Renat, and now where I think they're both just in like really interesting places in their life too. Where Stellan's kind of he's about 70. He's kind of this old director, hasn't worked for like 15 years, but he made a lot of good stuff in his peak. And he kind of has this script that he was inspired by, multiple things in his life. Definitely his daughter being kind of the main one, but also his mother. So, like you said, the layeredness as well of the characters in the script, I think, is really impressive. But the actors, because so much is just said in this movie without even talking. But like you said, the majority of the movie is just people sitting around talking. So that combination, I think, is lethal and definitely one of my favorite movies of the year. But I think it should have a strong case for Best Picture. It being international, I don't know if it helps or hurts it, but I would love to see it win.
Primarily a Norwegian spoken film. There is a little bit of English dialogue, but I would say it's 85% foreign language.
Yeah, just Elle Fanning basically is the only time English is really needed. And that's a fun character just for her too, being like this movie star who, is a big fan of Stellan's work and everything. But, she really just brings a different element to the movie as well of someone who's miscast and someone who tries to insert themselves in something that they love, but at the same time, like they realize it's not for them. So I thought her arc was very interesting, even though I don't know if she necessarily deserved the nomination just based off screen time. But also the other sister, who I forgot to mention, what's her name, Corbin? Ignis?
Inga Ipsdotter Ilias.
She's awesome. The really emotional core of this movie as well. One of my favorite scenes is definitely kind of the resolution between her and Renat. Her talking about how helpful Renat was during their tough childhood and everything. But just like all of the emotional scenes with her, that specific scene as well, where she's looking at their relative who kind of got tortured during um, Nazi death camps and stuff, concentration camps. Just her reaction to that too, just so raw. And I've never seen her in anything other than this, but I thought that she was phenomenal as well, and really did stand her ground against, I mean, top tier actors clearly.
2 episodes ago with The Secret Agent, and then of course Marty Supreme, both having these kind of secondary elements regarding the Holocaust and World War II and the trauma that's still resulting from that. And this movie as well, obviously the history of the Nordic countries, Norway in particular, like there is we talked about it in our Girl with the Dragon Tattoo episode, where it's like there's this long history of generational trauma caused by the things that Germany did and the Nazis invading and taking control. And that's what this character of his mother, the true framework of his story, that's where it comes from. Her being tortured, her having this awful growing up experience. And then, the way that gets passed to Stellan, the way that Stellan passes those issues on to his own daughters and they're fucked up because of it. I love these characters because they are flawed and they're very stubborn, and like you kind of understand why she doesn't want to do the movie with her dad. You get it 100%, but at the same time you're like, fuck, like just make the movie. Like this would be such a beautiful moment. So there is just like that internal conflict when you're watching it, which is great.
I agree too. I think especially at the beginning of the movie, their relationship is really interesting. Just because like he kind of insults her profession a lot. He kind of says things that like I
He's
don't
very
think
blunt.
yeah, he's not trying to be an asshole, but he's definitely going off that way. So you do kind of relate with Renat. And then once they kind of show, more of Stellan's story and stuff, I think it just it becomes a really beautiful thing. Especially I love the resolution as well, where they both kind of find happiness of, it seems like she was a little bit sick of just, where she was at in her career with the plays and everything. And, her dad being an asshole about it probably didn't help. But I do love that final scene of obviously them doing the big oneer and then just like their reactions after, hitting cut and nailing the scene. Just like I feel like one of the first times we actually see like pure joy from Renat in this movie, which is really satisfying. And same with Stellan as well. I mean, he's depressed and drunk for the majority of it. So I think that ending really brings it together. I wanted to shout out too, just like we're saying, it's definitely more focused on the characters and the acting, but the technicals are great too. This house alone is its own character.
You can count production design, but I guess really I think it's more location scouting that they're
Yeah,
able to like find this incredible piece of architecture that becomes a thematic moment, it's a symbol in the film. I tell you what, when you see that house remodeled and changed at the end of the movie, that might be like one of the most fucking heart wrenching moments in all film of 2025. It's really heartbreaking stuff, and it's just a house that's changed. It's incredible the amount of motion they're able to like tie into this place. And of course, that's also, they sell off the house so that they can get this movie made and have it done. You talked about getting to see the oneer. I love the fact that like we get to hear him the way he wants to shoot the scene described, and then it kind of goes through different iterations of what this movie's going to be, and then when we see the final version of it's like it's still recognizable but it's a new thing. And it's cool to see like that artistic process happen as well. But man, that house, man, from beginning to end is crazy.
it's almost like an emotional jump scare when they kind of cut to the house remodeled and stuff. It's
So
something that really
tacky and awful.
yeah,
Like,
pulls at the heartstrings. And I think it's just because they set it up so well too. Of kind of the opening is basically like a
yeah.
narrator just talking about the house and kind of the family's history in it. So I think that connection off the bat is really well done. But yeah, all the filmmaking aspects I find interesting as well, especially just like Stellan's perspective. I think he has a really interesting conversation near the end of the movie with his one buddy, where he's like, this is probably the last movie we're going to make, regardless of what happens, like make it yours. Like if you don't think Elle's right for the role, in a sense, like you got to do you. So I thought that was interesting of like, it's this guy's final, swan song, and it's one of his better scripts, which is interesting too. It's kind of like he's kind of finally figured it out after
Tarantino wishes, man.
Tarantino could never get that many movies made. But it's kind of like he has a better realization of his life, him portraying his daughter pretty realistically of kind of her emotions and a lot of stuff that she had to go through. So I think that him actually acknowledging that, with this script, even though he doesn't do it great verbally, it's still kind of beautiful in a way.
Were right earlier in correcting me. Is this movie got 4 acting nominations, 2 in supporting actress, 1 in lead, and 1 in supporting actor. And yet it didn't get nominated for casting, which there was a lot of hubbub around.
Makes
I
no
get
sense.
that. Now, to me, it's really these 4 core actors. And if you say, well, Renat Rensve has worked with Joachim Trier before, she was going to be in this movie anyways, and Stellan, is almost brought in as fine. Like it becomes less of building out an incredible ensemble. And it's also not an award for the actors. It's Inga Ipsweider Ilias, like she's not really been in any very major movies, and to me, she is like this big revelation in this film. Is the most impressive person. Um, so it is interesting that it wasn't nominated for casting, but I also there's a lot of misunderstanding of what the casting nomination is, and I think like a movie Secret Agent has them, a much wider, diverse cast of different characters and faces and stuff.
I think that comparison of just like it's almost like the quantity is important with the
Sure.
casting role because there's so many perfectly cast roles in the Secret Agent, like we talked about. And in this movie, like pretty much every role is cast perfectly, but there's only like 5 or 6 roles.
Right.
So I don't really understand how it wasn't nominated. To be fair, still, especially like you said with the kind of intro of Ignis. And then also Elle Fanning out of nowhere. I mean, this is her first nomination, and she's barely in the movie, if we're being completely
Should have
honest.
gotten one last year for A Complete Unknown, though, right?
Yeah, I mean,
No,
probably
not
wrong.
really. 2 years in a row. She's on the up and up.
But yeah, I mean, I think the casting is definitely, I mean, obviously very, very well done. I really don't think any other two people, any other like three leads, it would just be a completely different movie. So shout out the direction as well. Joaquin Trier, haven't mentioned him a ton. I believe he got a nom, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be cool if he wins. I mean, with it being international, it's a Norwegic film, right? It's not Swedish.
Norwegian, yeah.
Norwegian. Shout out to the Norse. But yeah, I mean, that'd be dope if he brought any sort of awards home. I think it has a shot at Best Picture. I think it deserves Best Picture. It is a tough year. There's no like clear standout, and more of the art house, voters maybe will go towards this instead of stuff like The Secret Agent. I don't know, but it could split votes there too. So I hope the performances, garner it a lot of respect, but I don't know what to expect honestly at the Oscars for this movie.
It is a movie that probably like 10 years ago doesn't get nominated. And it's just because of this opening up of European films coming in and the importance of Cannes and the Academy widening over the last few years. If something hits out of Cannes and is the talk of the town, like it's going to stick around. And of course, Stellan, this is his first acting nomination ever. Like this guy has had a huge,
Crazy.
long career. I think it could win international. It's obviously a very stacked category with even a couple others in Best Picture, like The Secret Agent. Screenplay, it's probably going to Sinners, and rightfully so. In original, this does have a good shot. Maybe you give one Battle Picture Sinners director and you give this screenplay. I don't know.
I was gonna say, I think this it probably has the best argument for screenplay, like
Yeah,
compared to the direction in Sinners in One Battle. I feel like this script has more to offer maybe than those movies, but obviously those movies on a lot of other aspects are very strong. But yeah, I think international too. I'd be a bit disappointed if it doesn't win, to be completely honest. But it'll be a good race. So I'm excited to see how it performs. I would love to see just an out of nowhere Best Picture win for it. And yeah, it's one of my favorite movies of the year. There's no doubt about it.
it arguably has one of the funnier scenes of the year as well when Stellan Skarsgård character gives this young child a couple inappropriate DVDs, get him started on the cinema track early with some graphic features for him.
It's a great gift, I think. He knows that he's going to use him as an actor, so you gotta learn the basics, buddy. You
It's
gotta
true.
get.
He's like Marty to Leo. Let me show you this movie. Let me give you this one. If you're going to be acting in my movie, let me show you Gaspar Noé's Irreversible.
I think he does do a great job as well of like throwing in fun scenes, having those comedic moments, even though like it is very emotional performances and stuff. Like that scene and the beach scene, I think, are two of my favorites in the
Yeah, I
film.
gotta say the beach scene is great between him and Elle.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And that's pretty early on in the movie as well. But you can just see kind of their connection and like Stellan, the way that he lives. I mean, I think it's just him staying up all night, partying with the young kids. Like he is still young at heart. And I think it didn't take till a rewatch for me to even realize like how old he's even playing. Like he's playing like a 70-year-old guy in this movie, but he's so
But
active.
you know how old Stellan Skarsgård is, right?
I assume that's probably his age, but he looks damn good. So
Sure.
I,
He's got adult men who are as children. Alexander Skarsgård, he's like 74.
it's true. I mean, Alexander Skarsgård looks like he's about 50, but he's probably. But I love Stellan. It's shocking that it's his first nom as well for how old he is and
Yeah.
how well. I mean, how great of an actor he's been for such a long period of time. So glad to see him getting a lot of recognition too.
Let's do it. Sentimental Value, Best Picture.
All day.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it.